Go, baby. What's good, guys? Yoku here, and I'm extremely late on this vid, I know, but your boy was sick, I couldn't speak, and now my voice is barely back. But I don't want to delay this video any further. We got work to do. In today's video, I'll be going over whether or not you should pull Banyue, Ellen, Hugo, or Dialyn, and which of them offers the most value for your account. Keyword is your. Can you guys hear the sickness in my... guys, it sounds bad.
Are you tired of losing? Are you tired of losing those 50-50s to bullshit?
Well, don't worry, big dog, I got just the deal.
Introducing Loot Bar, a popular top-up website that offers you purchases up to 23% cheaper.
Nani?
Now you can score that cool jafufu without missing a beat.
Using Loot Bar is actually pretty easy too. I mean, all we have to do is
pick the pack we want, type in our game UID, make the purchase, and voila. But wait, there's more. Not only does Loot Bar use the same in-game routing as Zenless, but they're even working around 7 days a week to provide their own trustworthy service.
And because I'm me, just for you guys, I got Loot Bar to double down. Right now, new users get a 10% off coupon just by clicking the link in my description down below.
Now get out there and go pull that new character.
First up, we have Banyue, the man, the myth, the legend of Banyue's bizarre adventure. I didn't expect to like this character at first, but after the live stream, I knew I had to pull him. I'm not going to sugarcoat this next part though. I do not recommend over 80% of the player base pull this agent. Not because he's bad or not worth it, but because he's clearly designed to not be casual. If you need an in-game example of what I'm referring to, then look at characters like Haramasa and Seth. Two agents that were amazing on their release, still viable to this day, but the majority of players shrug these dudes off as weak or not worth it just because they didn't want to take the effort to learn how to play them. Banyue might have easier functions to execute, like his hold basic attack giving him a free install once per stun or something like that, but it doesn't take away from his actual design. This is still a character that wants all of your focus on the battlefield. That's probably the biggest reason his favorite teams will consist of off-field stunners and support characters who can swing him on or off the field as quickly as possible. Banyue being our second fire rupture agent sets him up in a way where you either save to build him or just use Minato instead, and that's kinda not good. In a previous video, I mentioned that both him and Yidhari were in some of the worst positions banner-wise because they were smack dab in the middle of some crucial agents. First Lucia, and now Dialyn. Dialing. I'm pretty sure it's dialing because like dial on the phone, whatever. Lucia was an almost pivotal agent for anyone who wants to actually invest into rupture comps, and Dialing being a damn near must pull. Unlike Yidhari, Banyue has an A-rank alternative being Minato. I honestly fear that he's going to suffer the same fate as Haramasa, an agent that if you don't pull him now, it'll be over a year before you see him again. None of that even begins to address the fact that he may be incredibly strong. Typically, characters like this in any game, the ones that require the player to put in more effort than others, are often rewarded with crazy strong damage performance. This doesn't always come directly from damage though, which I understand is new to the gacha space. What that means though is Banyue's potential performance could come from things like giving him shortcuts to the high damaging combos, immediate burst windows, consistent over-the-top damage, perfect defense and offense, or even just being a one-man army. Even so much as his teams could be problematic for players who didn't preemptively prepare for this six-armed beast. He might be the most greediest DPS we've gotten since Sanby. There's a number of different ways his potential performance could be affected, but at this current moment in time, until I get my hands on the next CE server, I have no idea what that'll actually be. My recommendation for players is that if you still need a strong fire rupture DPS like myself, then pull Banyue. At the moment, you'd be safer to skip Dialing too, but only if you acknowledge that you're going all in on the Banyue team. This string of banner phases has just been brutal for players and decisions are extremely rough. Following Banyue, we'll take a look at Ellen, our original limited S rank and our first reworked agent. Did I just bite my tongue? I feel like I just bit my tongue. Since then, she's gotten a number of buffs that have essentially updated her kit so it works with a more modern meta. Unfortunately, that was 5 months ago, and while her physical kit is a fantastic upgrade, it seems like they didn't plan for the sheer amount of anti-freeze bosses designed against Miyabi. The positive to this is that a new rework feature is apparently coming to the game, but we don't know the exact details. Because of that, I'll base most of my opinions on whether or not you should pull Ellen in the current state of the game. Her current rework made it so her team options weren't just Victorian Barbarian Housekeepers, but now any stun agent. A change like this, paired with her new attacks and abilities, gave her new teams to beat the brakes off enemies. Now she has teams that support her being played as a primary DPS or burst style. She has solid free-to-play options for both teammates and weapons, like using Mercado or Starlight Engine, but I honestly want to spend less time on building her and more about the reason you should pull Ellen. I'll keep it short. Ellen is not worth pulling at the end of 2025. There may be some huge change we get in the next patch or so, but until I know what it is exactly and how it fares against these new bosses, I can't recommend pulling an M0 Ellen. What I can say though is if you already own Ellen and want to continue investing into her, then she shares a similar pattern to Hugo. M1 helps you build her easier, but M2 is really where the party starts. Not only do you have all the team options from her previously mentioned rework, but now with M2, she also gets more diverse build options. Things like a mixed attacker Ellen to pair up with anomaly teammates. I know, it's an uncanny dual attack style comp, but it works. I personally invested in the M2 Ellen incredibly early on, either at the start of the game or after her first rerun. I don't really remember. I enjoy the way Ellen plays and like experimenting with different teams to see what she can and can't beat, but I also understand that more challenging characters aren't everyone's cup of tea. Ellen has always been an agent that is perceived as easy to play until someone actually plays her. Then they start asking questions like why they keep getting hit out of roaming state or spin blades. She's more of an in the middle style agent where the mechanical inputs you practice are rewarded with higher level performance. They aren't necessary to clear though if all you care about is a 20k score. Next up, we have Hugo, who has always been in odd predicament. Hugo is the most straightforward character in the game to understand. Stun the enemy, press a button, do millions of damage in a single shot thanks to his ability Totalize. This works in and out of his favor for a number of different reasons, which, well, I guess the ironic part is that those reasons are shared in both categories. Because Hugo's entire game plan is to totalize the enemy, his best teams focus on a double stunner playstyle, Lycon, Lighter, Dialyn, or even Trigger depending on your build. Whatever you got, he can most likely work with it. He gains a huge 900 point attack boost from having 2 stun agents on the team, which further incentivizes players to build that way, but 1 stunner still gives him a smaller boost. I think the number is like 300. Double check that for me. For that reason, a lot of his best build options are often between a bunch of 2-pieces or 4-piece hormone, but now with Dialyn, he might receive more usage from Puffer because over 50% of his damage comes from his ultimate. This helps create the easiest game plan in the world. Where the problem lies is in the fact that his free-to-play options are mediocre at best, and even more worrying is that at M0, Hugo is an extremely limiting character. His free options for both weapons and teams present such a damage in performance that I, and probably others, would recommend you just skip Hugo altogether if you don't have a complete set of those premium options. In layman's terms, he is his own ceiling. You can only do as much damage as your build versus the enemy allows you to do. That one EX skill or ultimate during the stun window is all you get, leaving little to no room for mistakes. This is why Hugo mains advocate for M2, which I know is asking a lot of my free-to-play players, but don't shoot me today. I'm just providing the information here. Not only does M2 Hugo work up a strong performance boost for him, but it more importantly allows him to use his EX skill after the ultimate inside of a stun window, resulting in 2 instances of Totalize. As one of my homies always says, this makes Hugo a real character. Hugo is an interesting character with a unique playstyle that others don't share. He's one of the cheaper agents to build and rewards players who highly invest into him. The downside to his kit is that if a boss locks out its stun gauge, like when enemies enter Miasma, then Hugo is pretty much dead in the water. Because all his damage is tied to that, there is absolutely nothing he can do in those situations besides pray. Maybe a team in the future will allow him to play double attacker for some specific scenarios like that. Who knows? Finally, we get to the real deal of this video, and excuse my language, but this bitch is broken. I've only told you guys a few characters in the game were close to must pulls, and that's for specific team comps. Right now, Dialyn is quite literally benefiting everyone in the game except anomaly comps, and even that is a stretch because some of them she'll probably still work with. Her buffs are absolutely ridiculous. Extended stun window, 30% stun damage multiplier, a 40% bonus damage multiplier, the fastest stuns in the the game. Free ultimates, 30% crit damage if you have her signature, and she can do actual damage on the field. The dev team literally made the Super Saiyan version of Ching Yi and said, well, here you go. There is, and I mean zero reason other than I can't afford it that someone should not pull Dialyn right now. You don't even need her engine, just get her. And I know this sounds like, oh man, here's another CC overhyping the new shield unit, but no, stop. Everyone, and I mean everyone who I've seen talk about Dialyn has said the exact same thing. I can't believe they let this version of her make it out of the beta. She works in every attack or rupture team, is best in slot for most of them now, has some combined element from every single stunner we've had so far up to this point, and is bar none the closest we've had to a must pull in a long time. Dialyn even opens up nearly every DPS to run a brand new build, turning the rotations into much more consistent outputs of damage and giving players an easier time to execute it. She's just dumb. A stunner that does everything a DPS wants. She completely changes the way we play around the stun rotations now and opens up doors for even more interesting rotations or team combinations immediately. Pull Dialyn. At the end of the day, obviously pull for who you want, but let this video serve as some means of advice. Whatever is going to give you the most fun when playing Zenless Zone Zero, go for that. The game has already shown us that they plan on changing, or a better word might be upgrading, into something a lot more engaging very soon. We don't fully know what that means, but following the pattern of most gacha games, they normally don't release powerhouse characters like this unless they plan on matching the game's pace with it. If you need a particular order, I'm gonna fake apologize now because there is no order. Dialyn is the only one on this list that is close to a priority. The other three are purely a choice pick, and you, as your own player, should grab whichever makes you the happiest. Now, if you're asking me if vertically investing into your Ellen or Hugo is more worth than picking up a single copy of Dialyn, the answer is no. But doing both would obviously set your account up for the foreseeable future without zero problems to come. M2 Hugo is still one of the fastest clearing agents in the game, but that's expensive. Instead of doing that, just super chat me the money so I can get M2 Hugo myself. Thoughts? Regardless, I can't say my usual outro because it's inappropriate for YouTube. Like the video, comment, subscribe. Happy Thanksgiving, because I have no idea what the next video is going to be until I get back. Smell you later.